Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously fascinating connection. We're looking at the psychology of failure and how understanding one specific blind spot completely changes the way we should approach artificial intelligence today. If you've ever wondered why so many ambitious plans just completely fall flat, and more importantly, how to avoid those exact pitfalls, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
So, why do 90% of startups fail? And what in the world does a 25-year-old psychological theory have to do with your AI side hustle? We're going to see how the bridge between our own psychological blind spots and failed AI implementations actually holds a secret to real, sustainable success.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We'll start with the overconfidence trap, explore why startups really fail, examine how we're overcomplicating AI, discuss selling relief, not hype, and finally wrap up with some practical AI side hustles.
Starting off with Section 1, the overconfidence trap, the psychology of unseen flaws.
You might have heard of this. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, first identified by psychologists David Dunning and Kruger back in 1999. It basically describes a systematic tendency for people with low ability in a specific area to give overly positive assessments of their own skills. What we're really talking about here is what researchers call the double burden. When someone's caught in the grip of this effect, they don't just lack a skill, they simultaneously lack the self-awareness to even recognize that deficiency. They literally don't know what they don't know.
There is this massive gap between subjective ability, so how good we think we are, and objective ability, our actual measured performance. Studies show the most profound overestimations happen right there in the bottom quartile of performers. Now, David Dunning himself noted something absolutely crucial. While overconfidence might, give you a burst of energy when you're executing a goal, it is incredibly detrimental during the preparatory planning phases of a new venture. Why? Because you end up ignoring bad odds and completely fail to prepare for contingencies.
Moving on to Section 2, why startups really fail, cold data versus human optimism.
This psychological trap directly impacts the real business world. Let's anchor ourselves to this staggering reality check from Investopedia. Roughly 90% of all startups eventually fail. 90%! There is just no way around it. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that building a successful business requires so much more than just confident optimism. It requires confronting the cold, hard reality of the market. And this brilliantly illustrates why. When we break down the failures according to CB Insights, 29% run out of cash and 23% fail because they just have the wrong team. But look at that massive 42% slice. 42% of startups fail simply because there is literally no market need for their product. This is the financial manifestation of the Dunning-Kruger double burden. Founders build products nobody actually wants, all because they were blinded by their own hype and lacked the metacognitive awareness to realize their plan was flawed from day one.
Which brings us to Section 3, overcomplicating artificial intelligence, the tech landscape today.
Now let's shift our focus to the modern era. Because this exact same cycle of overconfidence and failure, it's currently devastating the artificial intelligence space. Hit the brakes for a second and take in this statistic from an MIT study. A massive 95% of generative AI projects are currently failing. Just like those startup founders who assumed the market would love their product, businesses and freelancers are rushing into AI blindly. They are completely overestimating their understanding of what the technology should actually be used for.
As Corey Knowles and Grant Harvey pointed out on the Neuron podcast, you're probably making AI harder than it needs to be. And honestly, that perfectly validates the frustration so many of us are feeling right now. Businesses and eager developers are jumping in headfirst, trying to build incredibly complex systems, when a simple approach would work perfectly. They're essentially swinging a sledgehammer when a screwdriver is all the job requires. To stop overcomplicating things, we really have to look at the logical scaling of AI complexity. Level 1 is simply chatting, asking a basic question to get quick info. Level 2 is a structured prompt, which you need when you want multi-part, formatted outputs. Level 3 is a project, perfect for a predictable repeated-use task where you need strict control over the steps. And finally, Level 4 is deploying an agent. You really only use this when a complex, asynchronous task genuinely requires autonomy and dynamic decision-making. So ask yourself, are you pulling your hair out trying to build an autonomous agent when a simple chat prompt would actually do the exact same job?
Let's look at Section 4, selling relief, not hype, B2B reality check.
If you're an AI agency owner or a freelancer trying to sell these services, it can be incredibly frustrating to pitch to clients only to get completely ghosted. But here is a hard truth to swallow. Ghosting isn't disinterest, it's risk management. When businesses hear the word AI, they don't automatically hear growth or magic. No, they are tired, they're cautious, and they have been burned by past technology promises. To them, AI sounds like complexity and risk. When they nod and say, "Oh, that sounds interesting," they're usually just buying time.
So the crucial point is this. Businesses don't wake up wanting AI. They wake up wanting their immediate problems gone. Buyers are looking at their operations and asking, what is breaking right now? They're dealing with misleads from their website, reps wasting hours retyping data into a CRM, money just leaking right out of the pipeline. They don't want a magic AI tool. They want those specific, painful problems fixed by 9 a.m.
Just notice the massive disconnect here. Vendors walk into a pitch doing hype math, selling features, capabilities, the newest tech. But the buyer, they are sitting there running risk math. They're thinking about leaking revenue, asking themselves, what happens if we do nothing, and wondering, who owns the outcome if this whole thing breaks? To actually close the deal, you have to stop fighting their history of tech burnout. You have to take ownership of the result, not the software. Because if your pitch doesn't clearly show how much money or time they'll save safely, it just feels like another huge risk.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Practical AI Side Hustles, Stripping Away the Illusion.
Let's bring everything down to the individual level here. How do we actually take all of this and turn it into a practical side hustle? Well, the absolute golden rule for right now is this. AI is a production layer, not the whole business. Clients are not paying for the tool itself. They are paying for your human judgment, your editing, and the specific finished outcomes you provide. AI is simply there to compress the time it takes you to do the work. Once you realize that, you stop selling AI and start selling your ability to deliver high-quality results incredibly fast.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how you apply it. The most reliable way to start is with a narrow focus, picking one specific service and one specific audience. Think about building simple inbox automations that sort a small business owner's emails and draft replies, saving them an hour a day. Or generating structured digital resources, worksheets, and reading tasks for teachers. What about using AI to rapidly draft SEO product descriptions for e-commerce sellers so they can list items way faster? Even remote AI training and user testing, where you're reviewing outputs and ranking responses to help improve models, is a fantastic way to earn by doing exactly what's needed without overcomplicating things. All of these solve immediate problems and they save serious time.
Ultimately, it all comes back to how you view your own abilities and the market. The Dunning-Kruger effect traps people into building complex AI agents nobody asked for, creating startups with zero market need. So I want to leave you with this final thought to challenge your next steps. Are you chasing the illusion of an AI magic wand, or are you ready to actually solve a real problem? Focus on the solution, keep the tech as simple as possible, and you will bypass the illusion entirely. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.